Welcome everybody to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Dave. That's Scott. Today's review is of Elvis, otherwise
Yes,
known as Elvis the Pelvis.
Elvis the
This,
Pelvis,
this was a movie that just came out last year. I don't know,
2022. Boz
2022.
Lerman. Um,
He's the director,
yeah,
correct? Yeah.
starring Austin Butler as Elvis and Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker, the Snowman.
Yeah.
What an appropriate name!
Right.
What a con
Olivia.
man!
I'm going to go through these real quick, just not
Please
all of them, but
do.
I want to go through a few of them. Like you said, the director was Boz Lerman. The writers, there was three writers on IMDb: Boz Lerman, Sam Brommel, and Craig Pierce. The crew and cast is the hundreds, but I'm just going to go to the cast and only do a few of them. Like you said, Austin Butler, Tom Hanks, Olivia DeJonge was Priscilla, Helen Thompson was Gladys, Richard Roxburgh
Hmm.
was Vernon. This is the guy that I was trying to find out who it was. This is the guy that I was
He
really
looks
interested in.
so familiar, man.
Kelvin Harrison Jr. played BB King. Was
Ah,
the young guy that he knew that was
yeah.
BB King. Um, David Wenham was young, or was Hank Snow. I want to find one more. There was a nice Gary Clark Jr. was Arthur Big Boy Crudup. I think that was the guy in the blues bar when they were the kids looking through the
Yeah,
rusted wall.
yeah.
This is the lady. This is who I wanted to know who this is. I'm still gonna look her up because it's only one name. Yola. She played Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Now, if you guys don't know who Sister Rosetta Tharpe is, I always thought it was Thorpe. But anyway, they have it as Tharpe. She was a blues singer, gospel singer, and she could play the hell out of a guitar.
Mm.
I've got her saved on
Oh yeah.
my Spotify,
Yes,
and I'll
I
tell you,
highly recommend people look her up.
I found
Um,
some old videos of her on YouTube.
mhm.
Holy cow! Not only can
Yeah,
she sing, but she plays the hell out of an
dude.
electric guitar, man. No lie. But there was a guy. Here he is. Alton Mason played Little Richard. Holy cow! If
Yeah,
these
he was
people, I
good,
think,
man.
all of these guys were doing their own singing.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm going
They
by.
were all the way
That
down to
cat,
Austin Butler.
he had Little Richard down.
Did
He had
he,
Little
man?
Richard down, man. But that's I just wanted to give like the big
Yeah.
names that I thought were really interesting in the movie. There's like 200 names listed. I'm not reading them all.
No.
Um, but I know how I feel about the movie. I texted you a little bit last night
Yeah.
while I was watching it. I want to hear your opinion first, and then I'll give you
Sure.
what I
Sure.
think of
Sure.
the movie and
Sure.
how I think it rolls out.
I actually really enjoy this movie. The issues I have, and I do have some. Um, some people may have zero issue with this. This might
Right,
be my first Boz Lerman film. I can see a very artistic director involved
right.
in this, all the way down from music choices of blending. I'm going to talk about this here in a minute. The
Yeah,
blending of modern hip hop with old R&B and blues and
right,
everything
right.
was it really threw me off. But I think I understand where he was going with this, and just the use of color, the sets, the costuming. This is a musical that's not a musical.
Yeah. It,
It is a music biopic.
it's more movie with a lot of music.
It's a movie with a lot of music, but it feels like a musical in the way I see the cast members and
Yeah,
the different sounds and stuff. The way they recreated Beale Street, because it looked like the whole thing was on a set, was really cool with the camera drops into the
yeah.
windows to see the, oh man, that was neat. But anyhow, what did I think of the movie? I like it. I learned some stuff about Elvis that I'm not familiar with.
Right, right.
And one of the things I texted you when the movie ended, I about shit that I was watching the movie last night on the anniversary of Elvis's death. And it's like, are you kidding me? How did that
Of
happen?
all of the dates for me to forget, because I'm a huge Elvis fan.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of books about Elvis. Some of the stuff I see in here, I've kind of read and kind of
Hmm.
know, but some of it either seems to me out of whack, but I guess because of the time constraint of the movie,
Hmm.
you have to kind of blend stuff together. I ugh, I like the guy that they had playing Elvis. That
He
cat,
was good.
I've seen him in interviews, and he really does sound like him anyway.
Hmm.
So Cat
Well
was telling me,
cast.
Cat said that he had to have voice lessons,
I'm sure.
and the way she made it sound, and I wanted to look this up, or I wanted to ask her because she'd keep me from looking for 3 hours online, whether it was for his singing voice or for his actual like just speaking voice.
Oh,
And it sounded like it was for his speaking voice. And I'm wondering if he got to sound like Elvis and he had done it for so long for the movie that now it's just natural and he can't get out of it.
and it could
Or
be
if he
because
just naturally sounds like Elvis. Like, you
yeah,
know
he
what I
may
mean?
have some of that dialect already, but
Yeah.
yeah, because I guarantee he had to be trained to sound like him, and he did it
Yeah.
really well. And I wanted to see if that was him singing, and yes, it
Right.
is 100% him at the
Yeah. That's what I
beginning.
thought.
By the time it gets to the end, they do like they did in the Freddie Mercury movie. They
Mhm.
blend Austin and Elvis's voice together
Right.
to to make it, and it worked so well. Dude, the makeup. One of the things that's neat about this movie, I couldn't tell a lot of times between archival footage and actual movie.
That's what I was going to say. There were a couple of shots that, especially at the end in the last concert,
Yeah,
they start out with I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the kid's name, with
Austin.
Austin Butler singing, and he's, I don't want to say a fat suit because it's not a fat suit,
No,
but
but
they've
they
got
make
him
him look fat.
as the heavy Elvis, but they make him look really heavy, and he's at the piano and he's playing,
God, he looks rough.
and boy, he looked, well, he did look rough
Yeah, he
towards the
was
end,
really
especially
bad
at
near the end. Yeah.
77. But Butler singing, he's playing the piano, the guy's holding the mic, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember watching these on TV. I remember
Hmm.
watching the Elvis live from Hawaii, the
Yeah.
worldwide, the
Oh,
most
that
people had
was
ever seen
yeah,
any one man sing at the same time ever. That.
that was it.
Uh, but they cut away like when Austin Butler is singing, and when they come back, it's actual footage of Elvis singing.
Hmm.
And I had to sit there for a second and and think, now is that really Elvis or is that still Austin? And then I realized that's, like you said, that's archival footage. That's really
Yeah.
film footage of Elvis Presley singing. Holy crap.
Yeah.
You know? I am very happy and very sad in the same breath that Lisa Marie got to see the movie before she
I
died.
know. I know.
Because I think this is something she really wanted to have done, and I think she needed to see it. Thankfully, that poor kid had a rough life, but we won't talk about her right now.
Hmm.
My thing, to the movie itself.
Hmm.
There are big chunks of this. There's a lot that I like about this. I love um, the sets, the set design,
Yeah.
the color choice, the way they blast you with color
Like I
and
said,
then
there's a
pull
lot of
back.
artistic decisions
Yeah,
here.
pull back sometimes. What gets me is the storytelling.
Hmm.
It's the, like you said, it's the artistic storytelling.
It's hard.
This didn't need to be done that way, in my opinion. In my
Hmm.
opinion, and I'm just one man. I take up
All
2 feet. Consider it how you want to, folks. Uh, I would have much preferred a very linear, much more linear way of
Hmm.
storytelling. They do jump back a lot throughout the movie. They're just jumping
Yeah, it's all over the
forward,
place.
backwards, sideways. It
Hmm.
gets. I don't want to say confusing because I was never really super confused, but it took me out of the movie every time they did it.
Yeah. And to be fair, when we've done the movies in the past that edit in the same sort of style,
Yeah,
you have the exact same critique.
yeah,
So it's and I get it. It is a choice, and it was kind of off-putting. What threw me was, and I it wasn't until I got to the end that I realized what a good decision this was. was it threw me off to see this being told through the eyes of Colonel Tom Parker
Yeah. Yeah.
and how he did not see himself as a bad guy.
No, he didn't
You
see
know,
himself as a villain at all.
so it was really neat to see that and to see it through there and get a different. It was just different.
Mhm.
This is not your standard music biopic movie. It's very artistic, like you said, with
Yeah.
the back and forth and the color choices and the sound choices. Um, the overall bit of it, it's a sad movie.
Oh, yeah.
You see just how incredibly manipulated Elvis was, how he was. Tom Parker put a carrot on a stick in front of him and just, one more time, we'll do this. And
Yeah.
when Elvis,
And he fell for it every damn time.
he did, because he trusted him. Without Tom, who knows where Elvis would have been? Tom does
Right.
deserve credit for bringing him into the forefront, and getting him the play that he did.
He does, but
That only goes so far.
yeah, that can only go so far.
Yeah.
My thought process on this is very, very medieval. All right.
Mhm.
With a guy like Tom Parker, you have to go medieval on his ass. That's all there is to it. At some point, if he doesn't let you just walk away and take a very small payoff, you got to do what they used to do
Mhm.
in the old days. Is all I'm going to
Yeah.
say.
Well,
Take that the way you folks want to, but some people just got to pay.
Well,
And I
and
mean,
he
pay
deserved
hard.
it, but I think he ended up paying karmically in the end.
I think
But
so too. I
he
really
really
do.
did. But what I did some research on him, and was because I was trying to figure out why this Dutchman or
Mhm.
guy from the Netherlands or Holland or wherever he showed up,
Right.
well, the same place, yeah.
Yeah.
Why he wouldn't leave the U.S. and what dirt did people have on him?
Oh, he's probably a
It is
friggin' Nazi.
Well, that was my first thought.
Yeah.
And then I also saw he left in 1929 after allegedly killing a woman.
Oh, okay.
So his name wasn't Tom Parker.
No, I know that
He
it
didn't
wasn't
last
that.
long in the military. So he was a con man. And here's the thing, he doesn't deny it.
No, I don't
He
think he ever
owns
really
that.
denied it.
No,
I don't remember
he's the snowman, and
this is what surprised me because as a kid, like my memory watching him give interviews, I remember him speaking with a Southern accent. I don't ever remember him speaking with a Dutch or a German-esque accent at all.
that is one of
So
my critiques of the film.
when Tom Hanks was playing him, I was like, I don't ever, I don't remember. Did he? I don't know. I've never,
I
other than in interviews, I only heard him sound like a Southerner. That's
Yeah.
how I remember. Maybe I'm having another Mandela effect. I don't know.
It might be. My critique of it's great if you want to keep it. If Tom Parker really talked like that and had such a thick
Right.
accent, my old ass ears had trouble understanding every damn word that came out of his mouth. And that was just because I'm not used to hearing that accent, and it was
Right.
really, it was hard for me. I almost turned on subtitles so I could enjoy the movie, and that's hard. So,
What's funny is what you just said. I've heard that as a critique. I didn't understand the critique because I hadn't seen the movie. Other people were
yeah,
saying that they had a problem with Tom Hanks's
really,
depiction of the character. And that, I'm guessing, was the fact that he used the accent.
yeah.
But again, if it was accurate, then good. If not,
Yeah,
then it was a
bad choice.
yeah, it was a bad
So
choice.
it must have been
Yep.
accurate because they went in so deep on a lot of
Mhm.
stuff. It showed so much. But I said this is a sad movie, but
Yeah,
I think what's really important to take away from this is Elvis shined the most when he stuck to his roots and stuck with what made him happy, which was blues and gospel.
mhm,
And
yeah,
when he was allowed to do it, and when he, shoved that Christmas special right in their face and said, "Fuck you, I'm going to do it," and do his thing and shake his
right.
hips. And, I love back when he was, got
Does the
arrested, he's
finger.
started wiggling with that and just
I've
went all out.
actually heard that story before about
Yes, I have
about the
too.
finger. I've heard the story, so that
Yeah.
was pretty damn funny to see him do it.
I applaud him for being himself and holding to his roots. And he knew what made him happy. Even in
Yeah.
the end, he couldn't break away from it and it killed him.
I just wish he could have. Yeah, you know, because
I know.
would he still be around? Probably not, because I think I've read like several different reasons of why he died. A lot of people say it was because of the drugs, which I'm sure didn't help. But I think he also had cancer.
Hmm.
I think that I just remember reading that. It may have been one of those things that was a rumor and then it was cleared up. I don't know. I don't remember.
Well,
And I didn't recheck it. But I remember that was like one of the things that a cancer drug some will do will be to puff you up quite a
yeah, and
bit.
heart
And if
failure will too. So
yeah, and if he was already gaining weight and he was taking this stuff and it just
he
multiplied,
was
and it's not a good
he was
not a
only
good mix.
42.
Yeah,
42, man.
42. His mom died when she was 42 also.
Oh,
And
I didn't
here's a
know that.
story that he always thought he was going to die when he was 42. I've read in several different biographies of his that people said that he grasped onto that like after his mom died, that he was
Hmm.
going to die young. He was going to die when he was
Did
42. And I think it was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
it
That's,
could have
you know,
been.
I think he
Yeah.
basically killed himself without killing himself, which is
Yeah.
sad because the guy was
Oh my God.
he was one of the first guys that tried to integrate the audiences at his concert,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
didn't like that. I mean, they really, I
This
mean, and
this is the
when I say they, I'm talking about um, politicians,
hmm
the media, the
hmm
same people we have trouble with today, folks.
doing the exact
Same
same thing.
people that were having trouble back then, and they're doing the exact
Yeah.
same shit. They're just using, in some cases, they're using a new group of people, but in
hmm
most cases, they're using the same two groups.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Exactly.
A lot of the two groups are over that shit.
Thank you.
We're over it. We've
We
married
see
into
you.
each other. We've had kids with each other.
Yeah.
It's a big F you, and they
This
don't.
is
They that's why they're bringing in new groups for everybody to
yeah.
fight about.
This is one of the things that just irritated me so much in the movie, and it's only because I really have a hard time. I shouldn't. I shouldn't have any hard time believing people are this fucking stupid
Mhm.
over all. It just racism to me is absolutely stupid. It makes no
Yeah,
sense whatsoever. Any of this stuff, and it's just like I really wish these people would die and we could move on. And
right.
that's you know we can do better as people, and it's frustrating. So seeing Elvis do, I want to talk about something real quick with
Yeah,
Elvis.
go ahead.
A lot of people say, "Oh, he stole black music and he did this." It's like, no, he didn't. Elvis grew up in this. This
Yeah,
is the people Elvis grew up with. This is the
yeah.
music he
Those were
grew
his
up listening.
friends.
And guess what? Because of the time, the only person that could get this music out, unfortunately, was a white guy, because nobody was going to listen to the black artist that Sun Records was trying to promote and trying to
No,
do right with. And so Elvis, he made it popular. And this is where I think Baz Luhrmann wanted to take modern hip hop, mix it in, and show
mm,
the influence that Elvis has had throughout the time. I
yeah,
found it jarring and it kind of took me out,
yeah. That
but
was
I
one of
think
my
that's where
big
he was
problems
going
with
with it.
some of his music choices. Was
Yeah.
like that's not
That that's a
if
valid
you're gonna
critique.
do it. Elvis Presley. They did an album many years ago, Second to None,
Mhm.
and they did a DJ mix, and I forgot the DJ's name, but the guy came in and remixed a couple of like Rubberneckin' and
A little less conversation or
A
whatever.
Little Less Conversation. He did these
Yeah.
like two or three songs, and he did this really kick-ass mix.
They're a good mix,
And
yeah.
I crank those fuckers up. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
when I'm driving down the road
They're
and one of
good.
those comes on, I crank it. But if he would
Absolutely.
have used that sort of a mix, I think it would have been easier.
Because it
The
had more of
problem is
that feel.
he used completely different music, a
Mhm.
completely different sound, and it was very jarring for
It
me.
was. It was.
Um, but
Maybe
again,
not to
it's
some, but to me and you, it
for
was,
me,
yeah.
it's the editing, the storytelling was really wonky. I
Yeah.
like I like the movie. I just don't know if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan of Pulp Fiction, you'll like this movie
Mm,
because of the editing. And now this isn't story. This isn't
okay.
story. This
Okay.
is the way the story is told in the editing. If you could follow
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction with no problem and you think it's a freaking masterpiece, you'll like this movie with no problem as
I think
far
this
as the
is easier to
storytelling
follow than
goes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is much easier to follow. And yet I don't have the same problem with Pulp Fiction that I do with so many other movies that try to pull this off.
Well,
And I
yeah.
think part of it is with Pulp Fiction, I could follow that very easily. It wasn't as jarring because I kind of figured out what they were doing early on.
Mhm.
I wasn't expecting a linear story. I wasn't expecting not a linear story. But with a biography, I think you need to tell it, and I know it's boring to do it this way, A to Z. You
You
need
know,
That's my
it didn't
opinion.
seem that I get it. To me, it
Yeah.
wasn't that out of order that it caused
Mhm.
me that. But this is just because we have different taste and different,
Yeah. Yeah.
things. So I get it. It's it did throw me off when I started watching it. It took a while.
Mhm.
It does. You can tell a story in any order.
Yeah.
You can take I can take a screenplay, mix up every single scene, throw them up in the air, put it back together, film the movie in that order, play it in that order, and your brain will put it together.
Mhm.
Is it easy? No. Is it
No.
tedious? Yes. Does it hurt your head sometimes? Yes. But you can
Yeah.
do it. Should you do it? I don't know. So it's that.
For me, it's you want to make it as easy as possible to follow the story
Mhm.
for the person watching. Here's another thing for me, the length. It was 2 hours and 39 minutes
It was a
runtime.
long
I
movie.
think you could have cut an easy 40 to 45 minutes out of this movie,
I'll say
tightened it
30,
up,
but yeah, it definitely could have
tightened
been
it up
trimmed.
quite a bit. But that's me.
No,
I looked at this
it's,
movie, and there was a point last night where I'm like, how in the hell long is this?
I was
I
thinking
got
the
taken
same
out at
thing.
some point, and it was hard for me to get back into it. I was like,
Yeah.
I hit the button. I'm like, Jesus, man, there's still an hour left in this
I
freaking
know. I did
thing.
the same thing. It's like, damn,
Yeah,
it was
so
long,
I
but
think
I was entertained. Oh,
it's good.
yeah,
It's I'm sure there's you or me.
it was me.
Uh, it, it's a it's a good movie. It's got its it's got a lot of good in it. I will say that it has a lot of
Yeah.
good in the movie. It's got a lot of things that I find troublesome and bothersome. It's with some of the music choices. It's
Hmm.
with the editing.
Hmm.
It's with the revisit of the editing. Like there are certain points in the story that they already told and talked about. Later on, you're almost to the end of the movie. They're going back to visit whatever moment for no
I
reason.
noticed that.
And
I
I'm like,
noticed that. It's like, wait a minute.
why are you going back to that point? That's not even
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with what's going on right now. You
Yeah.
know, I could have understood if it would have been like the first time he met Priscilla as he's getting on the plane, and it's like, oh, the first time I met my 13-year-old wife is, or 15, however the hell old she
14.
was when we got
Yeah.
married. It's
Something like
like,
that.
okay, I could understand that kind of a memory back, throwback, but some of them were just really awkward, I felt.
Yeah.
But man, that kid, he
I,
looked like Elvis. He sounded like Elvis. He had the moves. And I was sitting there. Here's what's funny. You and I talked about like who else could play Han Solo. This kid could play Han Solo.
he absolutely
No
could. He's
problem.
got so much
This
swagger.
mother's got some swagger. And if you
My
want to do a little bit
God.
younger Han Solo, a little bit, this kid could pull off Han Solo with no problem. Hey there, Boba Fett. I'm gonna fight you. Thank you. Thank you very much. But this cat, I mean, seriously, if they don't want to use the other guy or the other guy doesn't want to do it anymore,
Yeah.
Hollywood, somebody at Jesus, get rid of KK for crying out loud already, and just hire this cat to do the movies. Any Han Solo
Yeah.
part, just
Yeah.
do it. Just nice. Give him a good
Yeah.
written part too. It's well written. I do like the movie. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I'd like to see the script. I'd like to read the script and see how it's set up. But I like watching, not watching. I like reading. I like reading scripts anyway. So
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
find them interesting to see
I would
from
imagine
script
the
to movie.
the script itself may actually be in chronological order. A lot of times, writers or filmmakers will do a
Yeah,
jump just because, oh shit, my pacing's really slow. I've got to get something.
yeah,
Hey, we've got an action scene here. We can drop it here as a flashback or something to keep the
right.
momentum going. So a lot of times things are rearranged to keep it going.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
movie, I don't think had that because it is long, and that is a critique. I think it's overly
yeah.
long, but I think it's also really good. But if you didn't have Austin Butler as Elvis, this movie wouldn't have the same effect. I think just seeing
No.
how I felt he nailed it. I really
Oh
think he
yeah,
nailed it so good. At no point did I think, oh, this is somebody playing Elvis. I thought I was watching Elvis. You know,
yeah.
he sold
There was
me on
there
Elvis.
was a couple of times where he turned his head, or he was walking on stage at one point, and he turns around and he's just got
Yeah,
that 3/4 cockeyed view, and I literally would go backwards and then pause it and look at him and go, Jesus, Jesus, that kid nailed Elvis. He
he
nailed the
did.
look. He nailed the like you said, the swagger. He
Yeah,
everything about he was there.
yeah.
It's almost like the spirit of Elvis went down and touched him and said, "Listen here, young buckaroo, you're going to be me for a couple hours. Thank you, thank you very
Yep.
much. Give me a peanut
It
butter
is
and
almost like
banana
he was
sandwich."
possessed by the ghost of Elvis.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but like I would like to see that kid come out in an interview and go, "I don't even remember filming any of this. I don't remember any of it. I was not there. That was not me.
I
That
haven't.
was not me.
Yeah,
That's
I haven't.
not me."
I haven't looked it up because I'm sure somebody has asked Priscilla this, but I wonder what she felt watching this movie. What it was like to see somebody
Well,
portray.
I don't even know if
Yeah,
she went to the premiere or anything. I don't know.
I'm sure she's seen it. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She must have seen it by now.
I'm curious. She probably saw it before anybody else. I mean,
This is true. She may have.
yeah. So I'm just curious what it would, because it had to be hard. It had to
Yeah.
be hard.
Like, could you watch it? I don't know if I could watch it.
I don't know if I could either. I
I don't know
don't know
if
if I
I'd be able
could.
to watch it.
Probably not. So I don't know. It was just a curiosity. It's like, I wonder
Yeah.
what she thinks of it. So, I
Yeah, they did a lot of good
they
stuff.
did. They did. I will say this. I think the movie Texas Red did a better juke joint than this movie.
Like, Jesus, I keep forgetting to watch Texas Red. I want to,
The
because it's
opening
got
scene is a juke joint with Cedric Burnside playing,
it's
and
got
it
you in
is
it.
so good, man. So
Well, yeah,
good.
it's
And
got you in it, and then it's got Burnside. It's his grandson.
yeah, I think so.
I think it's his grand. I think you said it was
Yeah,
his grandson.
I
I
think so.
remember
Yeah.
seeing the name, and I
He's
called
a
you up. I was like,
phenomenal
"Hey man,
musician.
is this
Yeah.
his grandson?" You're like, "How the hell did you know that?"
Yeah. I didn't know you were into blues until then, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I'm a huge
Yeah.
blues fan.
So, yeah.
That's why that scene in Elvis is such a nice scene with the guy playing the blues and the
Yeah.
two people dancing. It's like, oh boy, that nobody wanted their kid to go to a blues joint, man.
Yeah.
But for that, that's sex. That's the devil's
Yeah.
music.
So go watch the first 5 minutes of Texas Red and tell me what you think of that juke joint scene.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'll watch that tonight. Well, after I
Yeah,
do my
hey, yeah.
in 900-degree weather.
I'm only in there about a minute or two, but you'll see me.
Are you the blues man?
Huh?
Are you the black blues player?
No, I'm somebody who's typical of that time period, a racist
Oh, okay.
shithead. So anyway,
You sure do get typecast.
I do. I do. I either die or I say words that I can't repeat right now.
Yeah, but you're getting paid for it the other way, so and no one's gonna kill
Exactly.
you.
I'll get canceled here. I can do it
Yeah,
in the, yeah.
I can do it in the movie. I can't do it here. How
Right.
ironic. How ironic is
That's
all
a
I'm
whole
saying.
nother topic.
That is another topic. Well, yeah, that's a oh, but yeah, this movie,
Anyway,
I have to say, I'm gonna finish up from my end,
yes.
and you may add something I don't know that I comment on. But for me, I have a hard time telling anybody, "Yes, rush out and watch this movie." But then there's a part of me that says, "Watch this movie because it's Elvis.
Mhm.
It's good." Like I said, there are huge swaths of it that are just so good to watch. It's a little long, could have been tightened up. The editing bothers me. Some of the music choices bother me. But all in all, I enjoyed the movie. Will I watch it again anytime soon? No, because it's
Mm.
abundantly long for me.
It is very long.
It's like I said, 2 hours, I think 39 minutes, and it seems like a 4 hour movie.
It
That's
does.
there, and I don't know why, because there's a lot of stuff going on constantly. I don't know that any point in this movie that it ever actually slows down. I
No,
mean,
it
there may
it
be
really doesn't. You would just have to
no,
take out some scenes that, and I hesitate to say that aren't necessary.
yeah, that's the problem. Like I don't know what you'd cut out of this movie
I'd like to
without
shorten it to
losing.
make it quicker, but I think that he hit all the beats he wanted to make sure he portrayed Parker and Elvis and Vernon and Gladys and Priscilla the way that he wanted to.
Yeah, his dad was a piece of white trash. I'm going to call him what he is. He was a piece of white trash, always was, and that's
Yeah,
another
I
thing that
don't know
didn't.
enough about Vernon to know how accurate this movie was, because I mean they did show. I I'm not going to get on the guy for a bad check at the
Right,
beginning and going to debtor's prison or whatever, but
right.
later on he crossed a line for me where he put money over his son
Oh
when
yeah,
Elvis
yeah.
is passed out, and did a good point of showing just how Weasley he was at that point.
Oh yeah.
And
But that was his dad his whole life.
was it okay?
Yeah.
So
So there are things that I watched in this movie that I was like, oh, because they hit really close to home. Uh,
mm,
but it's
understood.
like you're just like, wow, how could anybody let the Parker get away with that? How could anybody around him let his dad get away with that when you're
Yeah.
seeing it? But a lot of his friends weren't any better. I mean, a lot of
Well,
his
they,
friends were
they
white
they made a
trash
point
too.
to point that out, that they
Yeah,
were
yeah. A lot of his friends were
sucking him
just white
dry.
trash hangers on. The few people that did care about him probably weren't strong enough to get him away. They probably didn't know what to do. They thought, if I'm with him, I can help him.
Yeah,
And that's all I can come up with. Because
yeah,
yeah, there's when you get that big, there's a lot of hangers on, and you got to be real careful with who you have hang on.
yeah. I mean, the sad thing is Priscilla saw it and still couldn't get him out of it.
Right.
So it's yeah, it's a sad movie, but one of the things I took away from it is I love the portrayal of his mother. At
Yeah.
least at the beginning, how much she supported him, and all these
Mhm.
people out there just being so hateful and freaking out over
Right.
some gyrating hips, and she's
Yeah.
like, he's doing what the Lord gave him to do. you know this is a god-given
Yeah.
gift. And
She's laughing about a lot of it. Like,
yeah,
that's funny. Look, that my son's great. Look at that. That's funny. She didn't see it as everybody else saw it. She just thought it was cute and funny.
there's a theme in here of Elvis crossing racial lines, and
Yeah.
there's a theme of unity
Yeah. Yeah.
in it. And it really starts off early when he goes to that revival and he
Oh
feels the
yeah.
spirit. And
Yeah.
when the black kids try and stop him, and they're like, no, he's got the spirit, let him
Yeah.
go. And
Yeah.
that
And
was,
the old black church ladies are like, no, no, no.
yeah,
Like just
yeah.
let him do
And
it.
let him do it. And you know what? That was a mutual thing. And that was
Yeah.
a probably a turning point. Elvis had such a love for the black gospel music. And
Yeah.
I, this is one of the things I love about the movie. It's Elvis. It's Elvis music.
Elvis. Yeah.
I mean,
That's the biggest thing is for me. If you're an Elvis fan, like I'm a
you
huge
got to
Elvis
watch it.
fan, I will watch just about anything with an Elvis theme to it because I find it very mostly fun. Like if you wanted to watch any Elvis movies, I will. Like I'm there. But yeah,
We may
they
have to.
are. I just love Elvis movies. I can't help it. Um, Watch it. It's worth a watch. It's
Yes.
going to be long. It's just going to be long.
Mm,
It's
I
not
get it.
like Justice League Snyder cut long, but it's long.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a good. I do say if you're a fan of Elvis, you have to watch it. You just have to, and you probably already have. Took Dave and I a while to get to it because
Yeah,
I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. So,
yeah. Well, when we came up with what movies to watch for the music type movies, this did. I think you brought it up
yeah,
initially, and I was like, yeah, yeah. Why haven't we watched this yet? Of course, yeah, we got to watch it.
yeah,
Stop it.
absolutely,
You went on a wheel
absolutely.
again.
Yeah,
Stop.
well, you don't need wheels. Where we're going, we don't need wheels, Marty.
I'm just
Okay.
going to be able to lean like this whenever she chews the wheel. Like,
So
okay.
anyway, folks, thank you for joining us today as we talk about Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
Mhm.
We both say watch it if you like Elvis. If you don't like
Yes,
Elvis,
absolutely.
you could miss it.
No sense in watching it.
Yeah, no, because you chances are if you like Elvis, you've already watched it. We were just a
Yeah.
little late to the party, and so here we are. So thanks again for watching and listening. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share. Check us out on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and wherever you listen to your podcast. We will catch you next week with something. I don't know what. Yes, as Dave flies away.